Today on Big Red's Cooking, we roast a chicken and serve it with mushroom gravy. Hi, and welcome back to Big Red's Cooking. I'm Darcy, aka Big Red, and today I'm going to show you guys how to truss a chicken for a simple roasted chicken. Now, in a previous video, I talked about brining chicken, and you can find the link to the brining of a chicken in the description down below. And I'm actually going to use the same chicken that I brined in that previous video, and I'm just going to do a simple truss on this and do a nice simple roasted chicken. One thing I will say right off the bat, I will not be stuffing this chicken. I actually never stuff poultry anymore. I haven't stuffed a turkey or a chicken in years. First off, you can't ever get enough stuffing into them. I don't know about you guys, here in Newfoundland we call it dressing. I can't get enough. I want to make sure I've got leftover dressing the day afterwards for sandwiches, things like that. Whenever I've had family over, we just, the dressing is one of the best parts for roasted chicken. So you can't get enough in. I was always having to do a second pan of it anyhow, and I realized the best thing to do is just not to do it in there. But more importantly, actually, there's a real risk when we stuff our chickens. What ends up happening is that the stuffing itself, or the dressing, is going to absorb all that liquid from that chicken, which is now contaminated with salmonella. So unless you've hit the internal temperature correctly to the inside of that dressing, you're running a lot of risk, and you can be causing food poisoning for yourself or for your family. Now, if you do actually cook it to the full internal temperature, which is 185 degrees Fahrenheit, what you're running the risk of doing is actually overcooking the rest of the chicken. So the chicken doesn't, or the turkey just doesn't cook as well, and you run that risk. So you know what, just save yourself the hassle. Do it separately. And here's what I actually do. Now, for today's recipe, I'm not going to do that because I'm going to do a mushroom gravy at the end. But what I always do is that I make my dressing ahead of time. Once my chicken or my turkey comes out of the oven, I want to let it sit and rest for a little while. It's always going to be a better piece of chicken or turkey when we let it sit for a little bit of time. Those juices have an opportunity to flow back through the bird. I just take my pan, I throw my dressing into there, and I throw it right back in the oven. And now it's got all those drippings in the bottom of the pan from when I was cooking my chicken or when I was cooking my turkey. I get that flavor in there, and it's just as good. Nobody can ever tell the difference. And I don't have to worry about anyone getting sick from it. So what we're going to do is we'll start with trussing our chicken, and then we're going to pop it into a cast iron pan, and we'll pop that into the oven. And a simple trussed chicken like this is actually really quick to cook. I do it at a nice high temperature, about 450 degrees. You get a really good crispy skin as a result, and it cooks through well. And yeah, it's one of my favorite meals to do. Alright, so we've got our chicken here. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to just tuck our wings in behind. So, by tucking those wings in underneath as I've just done, what it's going to do is going to prevent those wingtips from burning up, and it's actually going to provide a little bit of a rack for that chicken. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a nice length of my butcher's twine here now. So what we're going to do is we're going to start by going over, I hold it on top of the drumstick with my left hand, and I come in underneath the right hand drumstick. And then I come back around, and basically what I'm doing is almost creating like a figure 8, pulling those two drumsticks together. And then I'm just going to come around underneath our wings. I'm just going to give that a nice little tug. And here we go, we've got our perfectly trussed chicken. Alright, so what we actually do is we can take that and stick that up underneath the neck. That's going to hold our wings in nice and tight. That's going to hold our chicken all really nice and tight. and it's going to mean a more even cooking. And we're going to get that really nice crisp skin on top. Alright, so I'll just give my hands a quick wash. So if you've watched any of my videos before, you know I love to cook in cast iron. So I'm just going to take this chicken, I'm just going to pop it right on in here. And then we'll give my hands a quick wash, of course. I've been handling raw chicken. I don't want to go handling anything else. Now again, if you've watched my brining video, you'll know that we now have a really well seasoned chicken right through because we've had that brine go down through. But I still like that little bit of extra flavor on the skin. So I've got some salt and some pepper. And what I always like to do is I like to give it a little coat of olive oil as well. So what I tend to do is I start with my olive oil. I get that nice little coat of olive oil. Now if you don't have olive oil, that's okay. Go ahead and use a bit of vegetable oil, a little bit of butter, something like that. And I tend just to give it a bit of a rub around, make sure that the whole thing is covered. A little bit at the bottom of the pan. And again, I've got to handle my salt and pepper now in a moment, so I can give my hand a wash. Don't want to go contaminating up my salt and pepper grinders. A little bit of pepper right on top. And again, you can use as much or as little as you like. I love pepper, so a little bit of salt on top. And we're going to just go ahead and pop this into the oven. I've already got my oven preheated, and it's at about 450 degrees Fahrenheit. So we'll check back now in about 45 minutes, and we'll have a look at our internal temperature of our chicken, and we should be good to go at that point. Alright, so our chicken has been in the oven for about 20 minutes now. So I'm going to pull it out, have a quick look at it, probably give it a little bit of a baste. Isn't that looking just fantastic? So just pop that back in, we'll leave that go, and about another 20-25 minutes what I'll do is I'll do an internal temperature check. And I'll talk about that a little bit more when we get closer to that. Alright, so I just had a look at my chicken, we're getting really close. So I've actually got some potatoes cooking on top of the stove. I'm going to go check on those. I'm going to get some mashed potatoes done and some green peas, and that way they'll be ready when everything else is ready to go. I will do another video down the road all about mashed potatoes because again, you know, for a guy like me who's professional, there's a big difference between good mashed potatoes and bad mashed potatoes, and it really comes down to selecting the right potato. You know, yeah, you're thinking, there's the right potato? Oh yeah, there's a big difference between different types of potatoes, and some are going to give you a really nice mashed potato, and some are not going to give you such a great mashed potato. So let's jump over the stove, we'll have a look over there, and we'll check stuff out and see how that's going. So our mashed potato is doing really well. It's starting to fall apart here, which is exactly what I want. It's not overcooked, but it's nice and tender. So we're going to pull those off. I'm going to give those a little drain. I'm feeling a little decadent. I'm going to throw in some sour cream in here instead of using milk. And we've got to have a little bit of butter into our mashed potatoes as well. And a little sprinkle of salt. And I'll talk about why I'm adding the salt now instead of adding it when I cooked it. And because this is potatoes, I'm going to use a little white pepper in here as well. And just go ahead and give this a nice little mash. You can see these are nice and light and fluffy here now. Fantastic. So we'll just pop that right there. We'll just give them a lid, keep them warm. There's lots of heat here at the stove, so that'll keep it warm for us. I've got my green peas going here. Actually going to turn on a little heat underneath them. I've just let them go with the heat from the stove, but I know we're getting really close on our chicken. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pull my chicken out of the oven here now, and we'll do a quick temperature check on it. Oh, it smells so fantastic. So, and I'm sure it looks really good too. I know it looks really good to me. I hope it looks great to you. What we'll do is just going to poke this right down inside here. Yeah, we're looking really good temperature wise. Now I always like to do 2 temperature checks. I always go for the inside of the thigh and then right into the center of the breast itself. And yeah, we're fully done. So what you're looking for an internal temperature of a minimum. What we want to get is a final resting temperature of about 185 degrees. Now here's a little tip. You can actually pull that a bit early. Pull that at about 175 and you're going to have enough heat. It's actually going to carry through cooking that it'll get to the full internal temperature correctly for it. Just let that drain out and we'll just pop that right there on that plate. And we got all those lovely little bits of flavor down the bottom of that pan. Now what we're going to do, we're actually going to grab a bit of foil. We're just going to loosely lay this over the top. And this is called tenting. And what we want to do is we want to be able to keep our heat in, but by keeping the sides open, the steam can actually get out, and that way we don't have to worry about our chicken or our poultry getting all soggy. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make my gravy. And this is going to allow our chicken to rest. And it's a really important step. It's something that a lot of people don't do. But by doing that, what's happening when we cook poultry? All the juices are getting forced to the center. So if we let it rest before we slice into it, and for a turkey, I might let it rest for up to 30 minutes before I slice into it. Those juices are going to flow back out, and you're going to end up with a more moist, tender bird. If you go slicing that right away, you're going to notice juices just running all over the place. So we really want to let that rest out. Those juices will flow back evenly through the bird. The meat will absorb that juice, and you're going to end up with a much tastier piece of meat. So right into my pan, I'm going to add some shallots. And got all that nice caramelization into the bottom of that pan from cooking that chicken. Now I've opted to go with shallots because I really enjoy them. They're sort of, they get a really nice nutty sort of sweet onion type flavor and almost gives me a little bit of a garlic sensation as well. Now I'm going to go ahead and add some mushrooms. Okay, so our mushrooms are nice and cooked now. They've got some nice browning to them. So what I'm going to do at this point, I've got 2 tablespoons of flour, and I'm just going to sprinkle this right on into here. And what we're going to do basically is we're now cooking a roux. And this is going to be the thickener for our gravy. And by doing it this way, we're going to reduce down our likelihood of having any lumps in our gravy whatsoever. And generally what I do is I use about a tablespoon of flour for every cup of liquid. So you can see we've got our flour and our fat all cooked together. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to add I've got 2 cups of chicken stock here. Now that stock I had in my freezer. I rarely cook a chicken or a turkey without making stock at the end of it. So I'll just give that a little bit of a stir around. At this point I'm going to get a whisk. And give that a little bit of a whisk around. I'll bring that up and see what lovely color we've got from that caramelization in the bottom of the pan. And no gravy browning needed whatsoever. And turn my heat back up. I want to bring this up to a simmer so that my flour can fully cook into that gravy. So what we're going to do is while this simmers out now, we'll jump back over to our cutting board and we'll start to slice up our chicken. So have a look at our gravy. We can see our gravy has a really nice consistency now. just check that for seasoning. Wonderful. Doesn't need any salt at all. You can turn that off, turn that off. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and plate up our meal here now. I've removed a quarter off my chicken. I really like the dark meat, especially for a meal like this. And I've got a wing here as well. So I'm actually going to begin with my mashed potato. I'm going to put a nice little scoop of mashed potato right there. And then some of our green peas. There's our leg and our thigh and a wing that I stole that I absolutely love the wing. And some of our mushroom gravy right over the top of our potatoes and our chicken. And there we have a simple roasted chicken with a mushroom gravy served with mashed potatoes and green peas. It's a very simple comfort food meal. It's one of my favorites, really quick and easy to do. Like I say, the addition of the brining, which there is a link to below, makes a huge difference in terms of the texture and the flavor of this chicken. And I'm going to go ahead and eat this meal there now. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe so that you can find out about more of my videos. Please hit like, and I'd love it if you share this video with friends and family. Check out my website, bigredscooking.ca. You'll get full description on the meal that I prepared here with all the recipes and things like that. Thanks for tuning in once again. Hope to see you down the road, and I hope you enjoyed some good food. Bye for now.